Hey guys, welcome back.
Greetings. How you doing?
Just like normal, I'm super enthusiastic.
I know. It sounds like you just got out of bed.
Kind of like 6 hours ago.
Like 6 hours. 6 hours ago. Yeah.
I'm just waking up. Don't
Straight in
worry
my
about it.
ear. Thank you.
Shut up. Don't worry about it. I got this. Don't worry about it.
All right. So
Don't worry
since
about it.
since you got this, tell me what we got.
Yep. This week we are talking about um Galko. Galko-chan.
Uh,
Please tell me Galko-chan.
yes. There you go.
I do it, but
We,
like
we, we got there eventually. It's fine.
I mean I didn't feel like I needed to say the full name.
We'll edit it in post, which we
What?
won't because it's not going to happen. But
We don't edit.
yep, one take. That's all we need.
We just do the raws.
Oh,
Just go into this thing raw.
just 10 out of 10. Don't mind the chafing.
Jesus Christ.
Am I in trouble yet? I've got a feeling I should be in trouble. All right.
Just we're talking about please tell me Galko-chan. It was my suggestion to you.
Yes, it
Like
was.
as we starting off, yay or nay?
Um, I didn't mind it.
Really?
Yeah, it was. It was fine. Um, I'm not putting it in any sort of top 10 list,
Fair enough.
but I don't know. It seems solid. Like
That's that's good.
like we have we let's start with our interesting character.
Which one?
No, specifically the main character Galko,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, she kind of just breaks the mold of what you think of when you're talking about like typical relationship high school shows because she's the one who, the super popular one that kind of keeps people together.
Yeah.
And then there's Otako, who is the nerdy one, um, which is kind of blatantly obvious. Um, and then Ojo, the rich one, and it's just kind of their adventures. And the reason why I only give it an okay as opposed to like really putting it up there is because it's not super memorable.
Like one of the things about this show is that it is short.
It
Each
is.
episode is very short.
It is very very short.
Minus the OVA, which basically was like 4 episodes crammed into one. Because each episode was only what, like 7.5 minutes,
Was it
eight
7?
minutes. I think it was it's like I think it was like 8 minutes or something.
I
It
thought
may,
they
it
were
may have been like
12.
12. Were they 12?
Yeah, I think they were 12. I think they were half episodes.
For some reason, I hmm. Anyways, yeah, this show is short. Like just like the Magical Senpai I gave you like last time or whatever. Like this show is short. Like it is short, but it's still. I thought it was really good. Like I agree in the sense that like it's not like top 10 worthy or whatever, but like I'm a sucker for shows that center around like gal characters.
Yeah.
I mean like probably now one of my top favorites is like My First Girlfriend is a Gal. Like I loved that series. Like
Yeah, I
and
could see
and
it.
since then like that kind of like genre I've always just been like, "Ooh, I'm gonna give this show a chance and stuff." And I was not disappointed by this show when I found it.
I, I'd like to think what helped it out so much was the contrast of characters. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, where they all weren't like same personality wise.
because with shorter shows, it's way more pertinent to have characters with massively different views and
Yeah.
different personalities. Where, for example, the other one that we saw, the magical senpai one, where
Yeah.
people were very very similar. This one takes it in another direction, which is much appreciated.
Yeah, because they don't have the time to focus on like a super like detailed like story.
Yeah, you in shorter shows you don't expect development, you expect situations.
Yes, and this show delivered really well on just providing like just different situations.
Different situations that characters believably reacted to.
Yes, like their reactions were actually very good.
Because I know with a few other shows that we've had where it's been like where over the top is comedy, then there's like a sweet spot like right in the middle where it's like realistic and you know you can actually feel for the characters, and then there's the deadpan, which is, I mean, some people find deadpan funny. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah. No, like I agree. It's just like their reactions to these situations are actually very very well done, and like it's just like one of the big things is like with Otako, her big thing was always trying to just like make Galko like super embarrassed and stuff. And some of the topics she brought up like are embarrassing, and it's not just an oh I'm just gonna answer it because I'm carefree, lol I'm so random. No, like she flat out responded and like that or she just like clammed up and is just like why are we talking about this? Stop it.
There are there are instant repercussions to the subject matter brought up,
Yes.
and that's what was important and missing out of a lot of other shows was the instantaneous part of it, right?
Yes. Like there, it's just like I'm not a big fan of like some shows where it's just like openly in public they start talking about like random kind of like what would be almost considered like non-appropriate or like sexual things or something like that, and like they're clearly talking normal volume and like nothing. There's like nobody reacts and like nothing goes on and like they just talking like normal, but then like and then in this show it's just like the moment they like mention something like like that would just be completely random and like not appropriate for like public discussion, like everybody just stops and looks at them like what the hell are they talking about?
What a lot of the time it's what's wrong, like the class has the what's wrong with these characters mentality.
Like why are they talking like this or like why
For,
are they doing these things?
First of all, why are they talking like this? What's the connection between them? Because they all look like they belong in different social circles, which they do,
Yes.
or they should,
Yes,
given
because
all accounts.
yes.
And then I think it's a lot of it just comes down to the like the follow up, right? Like the initial reaction is funny, but the follow up is more believable.
Yes.
Because it has that spike. It has that spike of this is ridiculous. What are they doing? But it reels that back in to make it more believable.
It's yes, it's not just like an oh like one time they say this they get embarrassed but like nothing happens. It's like there's like consequences that follow afterwards to these.
So I'm trying to think of what one of the shows that were really bad that we both didn't like that was supposed to be a comedy. I'm trying to remember one.
DMC.
That was not a comedy. Well, I mean, it
I
was a
think it was
comedy.
supposed
I
to.
think it was supposed to be a comedy. It was a train wreck. Anyway, um, so like DMC did it in a way that was very very abrasive. It didn't embrace what it was. Like
No, they
like the art style was bad.
God,
The
the art style was so bad.
the writing was bad, but like there's something to say about it, because like when you
It
talk about, okay, so like we have a spectrum here, right? Like we have DMC, which was bad because it was trying to be realistic. Like you can see, people that have these problems, like they aren't happy with what they're doing and they're happy doing something else, but whatever the other thing is just not lucrative for them, right? And they try and play that up, and then they reel it back in, but the reeling it back in DMC was done so poorly that it never caught people's, like it never caught a hold of people, right?
mhm.
In this show we see more of the middle ground, where there's a larger reaction, and then it tones it back to make it more realistic, and that works for this show, right?
Mhm.
And then there's the other end of the spectrum, where it's like Nichijou, where the overreactions actually happen,
God,
right?
Nichijou was such a good show.
It's so good, but that goes back to that the rules of the world make it more comedic, because they have to deal with these repercussions of their overreactions.
Yes,
Where
it's very world based. Like each show is its own world and has its own rules.
I argue that this kind of comedy from, specifically from Japan, like there's um there's other types of comedy around the world, but specifically in Japan, it's all about the reaction, right?
Yes.
and and that's kind of what I wanted to get into, because this is a much more mild, but it's a more wholesome reaction.
Yes. And then you've got other shows like that focus a lot on reactions like SYD.
Yes, I don't know. Like rewatching SYD, I wasn't as big of a fan of it because everything just felt so forced.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
I mean, it
Like the jokes didn't seem to come naturally.
no, like they were forced, but that's like the whole point of the show. Is
Yeah,
it's supposed to be like these like innuendo, well not they're not even innuendos, they're just like sexual quote unquote jokes that are supposed to be like you're supposed to be like what the fuck?
yeah. It's more of a shock comedy,
Yes.
which, I mean, is fine. It's usually not. That's not typical for Japan, though.
No.
Shock comedy is way more prevalent in the United States. It is way more prevalent in the United States.
Yeah.
Because I mean, okay, so if we think about it, right? There's Japan, who has the situational comedy and the reaction comedy, so that's kind of normal, or that's normal for Japan. We know a bunch of shows. I don't know many stand-up comedians in Japan, so I don't speak Japanese. Go figure.
Shockingly, I don't either.
So but then, like, if you look at England, like English comedies, where the comedy goes on in the background as other things are happening in the foreground. For example, Monty Python is a great example of this.
Oh, I love Monty Python.
But there's one part where they're talking about kids, and like how this one family is like responsible and not having kids or whatever, and there's a procession of kids in the background that just keep going as the family previously got evicted. So they're like, it's nonstop. It's like 15 or like 5 minutes of children walking past the screen. It's hilarious. But then but SYD is more of a shock comedy, which is more of something you'd see in the United States, specifically with usually it's the upper class white comedians. For example, Daniel Tosh.
I actually
And
like Tosh.
I don't mind Tosh. Tosh is fine.
His
Um,
stand-up specials are way better than his show was.
oh yeah, his show is awful. So like Daniel Tosh. What's another one? Dane Cook.
Ah, he fucking sucks.
He sucks, but he's a shock comedian, right? He says things that are outlandish, and that's where the comedy comes from. Like that's the stem of the comedy.
Yeah.
But
Dave Chappelle's another one.
Dave Chappelle is another one. What's the Andre? What's his name? Andre something.
I have no idea.
Okay, he's another shock comedian. But again, it's a much more Western thing. So in terms of comedies from Japan, specifically shows, because again, I don't know stand up. It's way more about reactions and how these characters deal with them, whether it's more realistic or if it's not, and how they decide to reel these things in. So yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it. Again, it's one of those things that like I like the way over the top, because over the top is just like, I mean, there's a level to over the top, but so far it just seems that we're to that point where like it's
Yeah. No, I pick up what you're putting down.
okay, good, because I'm having I'm thinking about all different types of comedy and like where they stem from, and
It's
sorry,
causing you to have an aneurysm. Got it.
brain no worky good.
Yeah.
It's only a minor stroke, guys.
Oh, just minor. It's fine.
So yeah, if you just call it a minor stroke, then it's not as bad, right?
Not
That's
the stroke of a minor,
that's
but
that's that's how words work, right? Like this is less important if you put minor in front of it. Anyway,
I mean, I don't even want to get into words. English language is broken mess.
it's three languages all sitting on top of each other's shoulders wearing a trench coat.
That's actually a good way of phrasing it. Anyways, back to what we
Back
were
to the
like.
show. Yeah, sorry,
Kind of.
kind of. I mean, to be fair, it's so short. Like that's all I had to say about it. Like I wanted to go into comedy and like talk about a little bit about why
Yeah.
things were, but yeah.
Like the show, yeah, like the show was really good. Like I think it was really good. You thought it's worth a watch.
It's if you don't have a 20-year long list of other shows to watch. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of shows out there that are really 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 good. And this one it'll make the waiting list if you're into this particular type of comedy. Right?
Yeah.
Like there are some shows that we've brought up that people just should watch. Period.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. There have been a lot of like bangers for shows.
Like do you have one that like everybody should watch?
One that everybody should watch.
Yes.
Um Honestly, like that we've done.
That we've done.
I mean, Nichijou definitely stands out as one. Otherwise, I'd say probably like Konosuba.
Konosuba. I'd be like One Punch Man.
I have actually found a few of my friends do not like that show.
It I don't know. It's one of those things that just comes up, and it's just like, you know what, even if you aren't a fan of that style, you should totally you should totally check it out just because of what it is. Like you don't
Yeah.
like not everybody's going to like every show, but like there's a couple shows that are just so good that perpetuating them should be a thing. So
Yeah.
I don't think it falls into that category, but if this situational comedy is your thing, you should totally watch it.
If it's your cup of tea.
If it is your cup of tea, you should watch it. Because
But
tea. Wonderful tea.
yeah, thrown into a harbor. Boston Tea Party Part 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Why is everything to Electric Boogaloo?
because it's the most common thing
Okay, fair enough.
that people know. Like a lot of people know that it's part two Electric Boogaloo.
So, yeah.
So, what are you giving me next week? Because I figured that we're pretty much done.
Yeah, we're pretty much done. Next week is Carol and Tuesday.
What about Carol on a Tuesday?
Something about ghost peppers? I don't know.
The fuck?
Maybe a Reaper in there?
Nani?
Nani? Oh my god, no! No!
Nani?
We just went there. Um,
Nani the fuck?
Carol and Tuesday, we have not had good luck with some stuff, music being one of them. So we're gonna try it again.
What?
Yeah!
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 Just on the goddamn episode.
Okay, fine, be that way. Bye, bitch!
Just fucking end it!
No! Okay.